Man, who knew dominating games could be this boring? Are we really seriously talking about a title contender after years of being in the basement? Let's go.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network in the world. My name is Matthew Tynan, and I just want to say thank you for making us a part of your day. On the show today, we're going to talk about San Antonio's upcoming schedule, which actually finally starts to get a little bit more difficult. We're also going to talk about in Victor's pursuit of the MVP. Are we kind of watching the minutes in blowouts? Because I thought the game in Milwaukee was a little bit interesting. But first, I just want to step back and sort of reflect on not only what we've seen over the last year from the San Antonio Spurs, but also looking ahead into the immediate future and the reality of title contention. The reality that this is no worse than a number 2 seed in the Western Conference. I want to put these numbers out there for you. The Spurs have won 24 of their last 26 games. Again, like I said, they have clinched no worse than the number 2 seed. Oklahoma City happened to beat the Knicks Sunday night, so San Antonio did not climb any closer to them. They're still 2 games back of those Thunder and the number 1 seed. 18 of those 24 victories, as I said, 24 of their last 26, 18 of those wins are by double digits, and they've had the best record in the NBA since February 1st. And get this, by the way, at 56-18, with 8 games left to play, they have a chance to break their own franchise record for biggest single season turnaround in franchise history. That number is 36 wins, a 36-win turnaround by, of course, the Spurs of Tim Duncan's rookie year. Now, the record is held by the Boston Celtics, I believe 07-08, when Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett joined Paul Pierce. That was a 42-win swing. They're not going to break that one. But what we're watching right now is a team that is dominant and destroying bad teams. It's been a little bit of a light schedule of late, which they deserve, by the way, considering all the difficult teams they had to play in the beginning and in the middle of the season. Not to mention they finish up the rodeo road trip, almost go undefeated on the rodeo road trip. But it's crazy to look back even a year ago, and it feels like a million years ago at this point. But think back to where this team was a season ago, or a year ago, a calendar year ago. Victor Wembanyama is exploring recovery options, just exploring options in general for the diagnosis of deep vein thrombosis. The Spurs were obviously very confident in the fact that he would be back and just as good as new whenever he did return. But the rest of us were kind of waiting with bated breath, kind of idly by, wondering what was going to become of this guy. Not that we didn't have any faith in what the organization was saying or anything like that, but that's a scary thing to have to try to process in your own head. And that's not even taking into account how scary it must have been for Victor Wembanyama. And now we see what he's become, an MVP candidate. We can go back that far and think to ourselves, we didn't know how much Steph Castle would develop. We didn't know if over the summer, Dylan Harper, as he was drafted or after he was drafted, how much he was going to be contributing on a night-to-night basis, especially given the fact that they had just traded for De'Aaron Fox. And now all of these guys are playing a critical role in what is, in their own minds, hopefully, and yours, of course, hopefully title contenders. But do we actually, considering how young this team is, considering all the obstacles that they are going to have to face in the postseason, do we actually believe that this is a real thing? I'm going to bring in producer Tyler Prince, who told me before the show that he gets people calling him Taylor Price more often than he gets people calling him by his actual name, Tyler Prince, but we're not going to do that here. I still find myself, Tyler, I still find myself, as much as this team has convinced me over the course of the season, because it has in different sort of stretches, like finally when they beat Oklahoma City multiple times, I think it might have been that Christmas Day game where I was like, oh, wow, maybe this team really is for real. But it's still kind of just blowing my mind that they are as good as they are. Just this gigantic swing. Again, they could break their own franchise record for win swing in a season. and like, while I am still trying to process what I'm seeing, the sports books, our partners at FanDuel, have them at plus 550 to win it all. That's second behind the Oklahoma City Thunder at plus 135. So it's not like the fans are crazy. It's not like Spurs fans who think they can win it all are crazy. The numbers are telling us that the rest of the people, the smartest people, are also, not saying Spurs fans aren't smart, because of course Spurs fans are smart, but like the sports books, the computers, the algorithms, they're also saying that San Antonio has a great chance to win it all. And it's still crazy to me that only a year later, this is the kind of team that we're looking at. What say you, sir?
I mean, I think the season's given us a mountain of evidence that points to this team being real. Caveats, we have no idea how they're going to play under pressure in the playoffs because it's a different kind of basketball. But when you're 56-18 and you're well on your way to winning 60 games before you lose 20, even in the regular season, I think that's a pretty good indication you're a great basketball team. I think it's crazy they're going to break the record for a turnaround because Tim Duncan's, coming to the team and turning that team around is pretty epic in NBA.
I mean, if they do, it would be unbelievable. But this is kind of like, just like Tim Duncan was that special, like we are looking at a guy like Victor Wembanyama who is as special a prospect, a talent, all this stuff as we've ever seen. He's like, it's almost like he's better than advertised, which is wild.
Which is crazy.
Maybe those of us who are still in that mode of like see it to believe it or whatever, like or the people who still just simply don't believe that they're going to win it all this year, that they're going to have this sort of unprecedented turnaround. Maybe it is time to stop looking at the whole inexperience angle, because there are guys in that locker room who have experience, and start looking at just the sheer matchups. And like when you look across the board in the Western Conference, what team other than Oklahoma City? I know that there are some fans out there who are very confident against the Thunder, but like that team is still terrifying on paper and on
still a very good team.
They're unbelievable. You're still scared of Nikola Jokic. You're the Minnesota Timberwolves can be bullies, but like there isn't a world based on what we've seen, even though it's the regular season. There isn't a world that I look at those teams and think to myself, the San Antonio Spurs can't beat them in the playoffs. I don't know. It really is wild to sort of comprehend at this point, but as we inch closer to the playoffs, we are looking at a legitimate title contender, and considering everything that happened last year, not just the Wembanyama deep vein thrombosis, but also Gregg Popovich suffering a stroke, just trying to throw all these pieces together and just stay afloat. Trading for De'Aaron Fox, like all these roster moves, signings in the offseason. Like the Spurs themselves didn't even think they'd be this good, but here they are. We'll jump back into some MVP talk now that I've gotten that out of the way. Now that I have reflected on everything that the Spurs have been through over the last year and kind of try to make sense of where they are now. But up next, we talk more MVP stuff with Victor Wembanyama. I know that y'all are all about that right now, so let's go. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is it's a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. All right, time to talk some more Victor Wembanyama MVP stuff. But first, get your first free... let's rewind that. Get your first month of the Everydayer Club for free when you use code MARCH. You'll unlock ad-free episodes and entry into our private listener group chat where I'm hanging out daily. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedonspurs.supercast.com to claim your free month. And I had an observation, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, Tyler.
Okay.
So I'm not someone, I really don't like to be hanging out on Twitter. I really shouldn't be. But the MVP discourse has gotten so annoying and toxic that I've almost stopped or started, like, I've muted accounts. I even muted MVP on Twitter so that if I'm on it, I just don't see this stuff anymore. But I think the new thing that has popped up is now people are comparing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Victor Wembanyama as stat patters. So, like, in blowouts, what are they doing in blowouts? Are they trying really hard when the game is out of hand? Are they staying in the game longer than they should be? All of this stuff. So suddenly I start paying attention to this. And I noticed, for the most part this year, we haven't seen that at all from Victor Wembanyama and Mitch Johnson and the Spurs in general because they've been so cautious about his health. They don't want to mess anything up. And I'm not saying that they've altered that approach in any way, but I did find myself the other day against Milwaukee kind of wondering why Victor was still in the game with like 6 minutes left and they were up by 30 or something like that, 32 points. It was one. And by the way, like, Victor was still playing hard. And you can tell he knows when he's about to come out. He starts kind of putting up some shots. He kind of starts going. He starts to crash the boards a little more, looking for different opportunities. All normal stuff, man. Everybody does that. This isn't me getting on him or anything like that. So please don't yell at me in the comment section, okay?
When you see your replacement coming in, you try to get to the free throw
right,
line,
man.
You know?
You want to get your shots up. You want to get your numbers up there. And I know he wants the MVP. And I know that he knows that in order to get MVP, you have to get numbers. And then on the flip side of it, it's like people are criticizing him for not putting up the same sort of counting stats the other guys are and not putting up the same kind of minutes. But when he does put up those minutes, when he does put up those counting stats, how much is he doing in a blowout? So it's a lose-lose situation no matter how you look at it. So at the end of the day, like, do what you're gonna do. I get it. All that stuff I don't really care about. What I do care about though is how much are you willing to risk the chance of injury? Because before I turn to you on this one, like if you approve of the sort of balance that he got the other day, I just want to point one thing out. So, okay, Victor Wembanyama has had, by my count, the Spurs, by my count, have won 12 games this season by more than 20 points. Saturday's game against Milwaukee was the first time this season that Wemby has played 31 minutes in a game that they've won by 20 or more points. So, again, in blowouts of 20 points or more this season, Victor Wembanyama had yet to exceed 31 minutes and had only exceeded 30 minutes one time prior. And I just find it, is this MVP chasing, Or is this getting ready for the postseason? That's another argument you can make, by the way. Like, get him his minutes so that when he has to go for 35, 36, 37 minutes, maybe even more, he's accustomed to it. He's conditioned for it. But, like, where do you stand on the idea of, like, Mitch Johnson told us a couple of weeks ago, and he said it with a smile on his face. He said, Victor might have the longest list of things he wants to accomplish in the history of the NBA. So I already know that they already see this stuff and think to themselves like, oh my gosh, we got to do our best to do right by him, but also make sure he's healthy. I don't know. Where do you stand on this? Like, were you watching that game the other day and thinking to yourself with 6 minutes left, like, I kind of can't believe he's still in this game?
No, I mean, I have a bunch of thoughts on this. The first thing I want to say is that I am very pro stat padding.
Okay.
Guys got to get paid, man. I'm for stat padding. That doesn't bother me at all. Second thing, the argument that they're ramping up his minutes to get ready for the playoffs, I think is a good one. And honestly, that Milwaukee game the other night was not super physical. So I think had that been like a really physical game, they would have got him out of there.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to risk his health. But Milwaukee's heart wasn't really in it, I don't think.
So, but then if the heart's not there and if it's not that physical, is it even preparing you for playoff minutes anyway? I don't know.
I mean, you got to get shots up. You know?
True.
I don't know. I mean, look, he is going for MVP and like, that's fine. I think if he wants, I think of like Adrian Peterson, when he was like super close to getting the rushing record and they pulled him when he was like 20 yards short.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Victor's going for like an all-time record or anything like that, but if he has a legitimate shot to be MVP, why would you keep him out of the game if it's a low risk situation?
That's fair, man. That's fair.
Because if he can't keep himself from getting hurt in like garbage time in a game that doesn't change the outcome of the season that often, then like, I think you got to trust your superstars to go play and know how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, but it's like sometimes I'll see. I think it was against the Clippers. It was like late in that game. I'm pretty sure it was mostly in hand, and he goes diving into the front row, and I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah, no,
don't do that.
I totally agree with that, and that's coaching, right? That's really, hey, Victor, there's a time and a place for this, and for you, it's almost never. It's almost never for you.
I mean, I think the coaches are probably telling him things like that, but
but he's 22 years old.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, that to me is more of an example of like, that is a 22-year-old blacking out and just, and I guess it's like, you'd rather have that than the inverse, right? Like, you'd rather have that than a dude who just is.
I will say, in my experience, it's easier to bring somebody, like pull them back a little bit than it is to like push people out more,
In your experience.
In generally. Like,
no, I agree.
Not just in basketball.
I agree, man. I think getting people to be forceful and energetic and really give a crap about what they're doing, if you have to force someone to do that, you're already in a problematic situation, or it's just going to be a lot of work to bring that stuff out of the people who don't inherently possess those kinds of traits. But either A, they'll figure out a way to coach that be able to pull him back a little bit, or B, it's just gonna come with age. And the more he falls and hits the ground, the more it's going to hurt with age. And I don't even want to bring up the possibility of an injury. But look, I don't know. I just think that it's one of those situations where it's not like I had anything against what they were doing the other day, letting him play as deep into the game as he did. It kind of hit me after a little while. I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit late. This game is a blowout. Like, this Bucks team has no chance of coming back from this. Let's, get him out of the game and save him from himself, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, straight up, Milwaukee was about him getting a few more shots up and trying to get a few more points on the board.
And that's okay.
Stats. And
that's okay.
I'm okay with that.
That's right.
Because you know what? Stephon Castle got to get out there and get his rebound for his triple.
That's right.
So
Triple-double, man. 4th of the season, I think. We got
4th of the season.
We got to talk about Steph Castle soon. We will do that another time, though. Coming up next, we are going to get into the schedule that looms ahead and the fact that there are some actual good teams coming down the pike. Finally, some great matchups, some good games.
Yeah.
We hope.
We can watch some good basketball.
Yeah, exactly
that
right.
Would be great.
No more boring basketball. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. And that pick, watermelon, cool, crisp, caffeinated. Plus, I just kind of like watermelon flavor for almost anything, so it just fits right. It's right up my alley. But then there's also like Confetti Craze, sweet birthday cake inspired flavor. Can't really go wrong there. And then, I don't know, maybe one off the board, berry, big, bold berry. You can't really miss with that one. I think that 5-Hour Energy shots just give you a boost with zero sugar. You don't get the jitters, all that kind of stuff. So how about you find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots today? Available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Workplace chaos, past due deadlines. You need help, but good help is hard to find. When the pressure is on, you need the right hire. It's time to try Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the right people, the right skills, experience, location, all that, so you can get back to running your business. How about this? In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed worldwide, according to Indeed data. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listening to this show, listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, who wants some schedule talk? Just the most exciting kind of talk, schedule talk. Listen, though, I'm being serious. The domination from this team lately has made games boring, Tyler. I know that when I brought this up, by the way, you can, for every game, we have a chat over at my Substack, which is the Corporate Knowledge newsletter, MatthewTynan.substack.com. We do a chat for every game. It's a lot of fun, some good people in there. But I said in the chat the other day, I am getting bored. I want fun basketball, man. I want competition. I want to see what these guys are made of in close games again. It's been too long. Everyone yelled at me for that. They said that they're having fun watching the domination. I get it. I get it.
That too.
And it's fun to watch the highlights. And like this team, by the way, one of the fun things about this team that is unlike sort of Spurs teams from the past. Not saying that those teams didn't have flair, because like once that ball got moving around and it turned into beautiful games, Spurs, like it was a lot of fun to watch. But this team has the flair from a different perspective. It's the dunks. It's the alley-oops.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
When's the last time a Spurs team had like 20-something dunks in a game?
That's right.
I can't remember a time.
Dunking on everybody. It's a lot of fun to watch. So don't get me wrong. That stuff is really entertaining. But, my friend, there are some good games coming up. And like, lest we just dismiss the Bulls, remember that they've just been really annoying for the Spurs over the last couple of years. They were really annoying to the Thunder the other night. They have a volatile brand. They play a volatile brand of basketball where it's like all layups or threes and nothing in between. So anything can kind of happen against them. They have a weird roster, but like playing them Monday night tonight is you want to take care of that. It goes back to the stuff that we were saying last week. taking care of business, do what you're supposed to do, beat them, because you're still in a chase for that number 1 seed, remember. But then after that, it's the last road trip of the season, out to San Francisco to play Golden State. Steph Curry might be back for that game. Might. Don't know that yet.
I hope he is. I hope he's back
too.
so that we can practice having to defend Steph Curry in case
that has not gone well for the Spurs this year.
No, it has not.
That has not gone well for them this year. But it would certainly fit into that whole, like, let's see them be tested before the playoffs type of narrative. And then they're at the Clippers. We know that they've been, and they should have Kawhi unless he gets hurt again, something like that. But we know that they're a tough team to play. Would really like to see Kawhi not have a great game against us again. I can't remember what his stat line was last time, but every bucket Kawhi Leonard scores against us is like a personal affront to me. And I love it, man. I love it. Oh, I love it. And I'll say this, man. He gave Steph Castle the business last time. He did. And it's such a great experience for Steph to be seeing players like that. Because Steph's had like a lot of success against really great players in the league, but he's Kawhi also Leonard was a perennial MVP candidate, man. Like, and he's gotten the like I said, he's gotten the business end of some Kawhi nights, some Luka nights, but all that stuff, it's all an education process, man. Such is the life of an elite defender in the NBA. Is some nights, that's right. You got to get used to it. It doesn't matter some nights. Yeah. And then to finish the road trip, you got the Nuggets and Jokic. That will be great. And then they come home for the Sixers, who they've started getting all their guys back. Maybe we'll get an Embiid. We'll get an Embiid Wemby again. Embiid's a tough matchup for. He's very tough. And then the Blazers, who there's a chance they're a first round playoff matchup. And then the Mavs. Look, man, if it's Cooper Flag versus Victor, that'll be fun. Absolutely. And you always like Mavs Spurs matchups. And they're not like this awful team. They actually compete, even though they're in the tank off. And then the Nuggets to end the season. We'll see if everybody's still vying for a playoff spot at that point. I hope they are. I love watching Nikola and Victor go at it. It's always great basketball. It's always a great time. I would venture to say that so long as they're both healthy and all that we'll get them at least one more time. We'll get a Victor Jokic matchup at least one more time in the regular season, and then who knows, man? Maybe in the second round of the playoffs. Who knows? But this is a pretty decent stretch in terms of I know that I was just sort of complaining about boring basketball games, but this is a pretty good stretch to end the season to put them to the test they'll be able to apply what they've been putting together in practices and run-throughs and seeing where they stack up heading into the postseason. I think it's not necessarily the end of the world that obviously that you've been playing, lower level competition because you've been doing what you're supposed to do, which is beat the crap out of them. I think they've won 4 consecutive road games by 25 or more points. That's some sort of record. I'm just recalling that. I didn't look it up. I know that it's something. Anyway, regardless of whether or not it's a record, that's crazy. 4 consecutive road games by 25 or more points. So you're looking at Golden State, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. Those are good road tests before you come home for 4 straight to close the season. And then it's playoff time, man. And I think it'll be great for him because, let's be honest, the last few games they have not really had to lock in against these teams, even though they've been keeping the, foot to the neck, that kind of stuff. But we're going to see if they can keep focused when it gets hard and when they're falling behind, because when they're playing Nikola Jokic, at some point they're going to be behind, and he's really good at making sure you can't catch back up. So he is quite good at that. He is still unbelievable, and even though the Nuggets have been a little bit down this year, that dude should terrify, or the idea of that dude should terrify anybody in a playoff series. But we here at Locked On Spurs will keep an eye on whether or not the Spurs stay locked in. That's
We're going to be locked on, locking in. I love that.
I can't.
I love that for us.
This corny. I really can't be this corny. All right. Listen, get away from that. All right. Thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Spurs. We will see y'all, obviously, on Tuesday, tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Spurs wherever you get your podcasts so you get all the latest episodes. You can find me on Twitter at Matthew_Tynan. And you can also, like I said earlier, you can find me at the Corporate Knowledge newsletter, MatthewTynan.substack.com. Tyler, where can they find you, man? And
you
do
can
you
find
have
me
anything to pitch? I know that you're writing a little bit now.
Yeah, I'm writing a little bit.
Okay.
Nothing to pitch. You can follow me on Instagram at Tyler Prince Film, or if you want to read my Substack stuff, it's thevideoman.substack.com.
There you go. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Spurs ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonspurs.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA game night on Locked On NBA. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Peace out.